In a world where spirit summoners bond with legendary heroes to save civilization, I awakened as F-rank, the absolute weakest. While my classmates summoned knights, saints, and mythic champions, my summoning glitched. The circle turned red, and when the smoke cleared, I was staring at the Tyrant Empress, a Calamity-tier villainess who nearly destroyed the world 800 years ago. Everyone calls me cursed, dangerous, a threat that should be eliminated. They're right to be afraid. Because the Tyrant Empress wasn't the only one who answered my call. And unlike the others, my strength is forged in pleasure. Through forbidden dual cultivation with my villainesses, I grow without end. My name is Cade Marlowe, and I don't summon heroes. I only summon villainesses. Chapter 1. I don't like school. I don't like school. Who the hell thought it was a brilliant idea to establish an educational system designed to trap and enslave people who could be living out the fullness of their pathetic lives? Gotta admit, I wake up every day thinking, what is the point of all this? I have a politician father who's dead set on me becoming a lawyer. Want me to defend your vile crimes, old man? No, Pops, you're cooked if I ever become a lawyer. Straight up, flames from the abyss cooked. Because I'd be holding you responsible for the evil of this world, of this country. Regardless of what I think or how I think about it, I was walking toward the school gate right now, the fate of so many teenagers like me. What pitiful creatures. If my life was a story and someone was reading it, they'd probably think, oh, finally, my escape. No, brah, we're in this together, there is no escape. I sighed as my legs dragged toward the entrance. The morning sun fell gently on my cheek, as if licking me with dark glee and saying, Cade boy, I'm enjoying your suffering. Cade, you're late again this morning. This man, he's always here, guarding the gate like it's his family heirloom. Is that how much you love destroying people's lives, Mr. Rampberry? I bowed my head to him like the respectful child they expect me to be. Mr. Ramp, have you tried being a student? And don't say you've been there, you were a student 20 years ago. Have you tried being a student in this age? Honestly, it'll wear you out. Mr. Rampberry looked at me with compassion in his eyes as if I'd fallen prey to depression or something. But all of that was nonsense because both of us knew the reason why he gave a shit about me. If I was some random, average status student, he'd be chasing me down and yelling at me. Cade, you see, I know and understand how difficult it can be, but all this effort, he hesitated, suffering as you may see it, which it isn't, by the way, it's for your own good, for the betterment of your future. You'll be proud of yourself that you held on one day. I stuck my pinky finger into my ear. This man, his words had quickly formed a fresh batch of earwax. I flicked it off before walking away, giving him a look that said, I hope you understood me, Mr. Rampberry. Afterward, I entered class through the back door. Even though I was late, the teacher wasn't here yet, so there was a gentle murmur in the class that muffled my steps and made my presence unnoticeable as usual. I settled into my corner seat by the window, looking outside. Beside our classroom block was the center of the school, the sports field, where two students were clutching their ears and hopping forward like frogs. Two unfortunate students Mr. Rampberry didn't give a shit about. A heavy breath escaped my nostrils. I closed my eyes and slumped onto my desk, wishing I could at least get summoned from this damn world and awaken in some fantasy realm where I'm surrounded by pure-hearted heroines, knights, saints, maybe a gentle healer or two, women willing to do anything to get a piece of my big dick and actually make business of the one thing that makes sense about my existence. Initiating summoning protocol. Ooh, is this supposed to be a trick? I raised my head, scanning the room with slight confusion knitting my brows. My classmates were busy chatting and talking to each other like a cold, monotone feminine voice hadn't just spoken above our heads. Is it just me? My eyes drifted around, confusion creeping across my face. Looks like it's just me. Drafted universe, Earth. Target universe, Eildrim. Awakening unique summoner system. 10, 20, 30, 40. I stared in absolute shock and confusion because now I wasn't just hearing things, I was seeing things too. There was a purple-colored HUD display floating in front of my eyes with white letters spelling out every word I was hearing. It was intensely confusing and had me trembling to my core. It was even weirder because everyone else was talking and didn't seem to have noticed this strange display. 809091. Yeah. System error. System error. Unique summoner system defective. Virus detected. Combating system virus with system antibodies. Combating system virus with system antibodies. Cold sweat dripped down my neck. This wasn't just some fantasy, something was genuinely wrong. It was all bizarre, but as I watched the display keep glitching, I began to sincerely hope for the antibodies to win. But more than that, I hoped for my own survival because I had no idea what was happening and definitely didn't want to get caught in some crossfire of a universal war. I know I said I hated being born a politician's son and that I hated school. I still don't want to die, and I'm definitely not ready to fight on behalf of the universe, so please, summoner system, grant me this one-time pardon, okay? As I was still thinking this, the murmurs in the class suddenly swelled, causing me to jerk my head up in confusion. As I did, there was an enormous circle, something that looked like a magic circle from a game or those you watch in anime. It blazed brighter blue light cascading across the entire class, and everyone, including me, shielded their eyes from the light. The next thing I knew, my butt hit hard polished floor instead of my chair. What the hell? Chapter 2, Summoned into Another World. System error. System error. Critical failure DTSTD. Initiating emergency protocols. Self-destruction sequence initiated. 10-9-8. Interrupted. RECLABRTING. System stabilized. You have been selected. You have gained 3 innate attributes. Summoner's Touch. Infinite Vitality. Perfect Fit. Congratulations. I stare at the innate attributes and congratulations after that nightmare of errors and near self-destruction. For some reason, this didn't feel like a system-stabilized situation. The voice delivering the message sounded the same as before, but that's exactly what made it more eerie. Goosebumps raced across my skin, and my blood ran cold as I read it. But I couldn't focus too much on what was floating in front of my eyes, what no one else was seeing. I had to focus on what we were all seeing. Where are we? Weren't we in class just a moment ago? My makeup bag. Somebody call 911. Amidst the chaos swirling in the air, my gaze drifted across the room, studying the arching ceilings, the archaic and delicate stone pillars and walls. Were we transported back in time? No. As soon as that question surfaced in my mind, the answer came immediately because I suddenly remembered what the system had said, target location Eildrim. And with that, it hit me, my eyes widening in realization. We're in another world, dumbfuck. Just then, a hoarse but commanding voice suddenly projected across the vast hall. Dear Otherworlders, have no fear. You have all been selected by the great goddess to be the next heralds of peace who will lead both your world and ours into a new era. As the man spoke, murmurs only intensified. What the hell, old man, who gives a shit? I just want 2 baddies right now. All I care about is if you guys have baddies in this damn world. Oh my god, are we really in another world? This is terrifying. I have to open my mom's store after school. She'll kill me. Everyone, please calm down. Everyone went silent at the voice that spoke and walked to the front, addressing them all with a calm and radiant countenance. I suppressed a chuckle the moment I saw him. These sorts of things aren't always so hard to predict. Kai Alexander. Kai is the model student of our class, the class rep, school senior prefect, the perfect son of a multi-billion-dollar conglomerate called the Xander Corps. He's the kind of guy who wants to help everybody. I definitely didn't detest him or anything, but sometimes I couldn't help but feel like the guy seems a little forced, practiced, like he's playing the role of perfect Kai Alexander. Or maybe it was just my opinion. Who knows, I might even be speaking from a point of envy, not that I'd give anything to be in his position. Being worshipped sounds so exhausting. His sharp and sonorous voice addressed everyone in the silent hall. We all want the same thing, but chaos isn't going to get us what we want. What we need to do is calmly listen to what they have to say and then say what we have to say. Let's allow the man to speak. Kai turned to the arched platform in front, raising his head slightly to address the old man standing on it, looking down on them all. The man wore a white garb that flowed over his body like silk crafted from light. In the center front was a perfectly embroidered golden cross, and he wore a religious priest's cap with the same embroidery. He was slightly hunched. Please tell us where we are and why we're here. The man seemed to smile imperceptibly. His eyes were so dim he looked like he was sleeping, and his nose was round and pronounced. Yet the power with which his voice boomed across the hall was shocking. Otherworlders, the world is in great peril. Because of this, our hands were forced to summon the next generation of spirit summoners to save the world. This is the kingdom of Aetheris, and this is not a call to damn you, but rather to save both our worlds from the threat of outers that are slowly corroding both our universes. I glanced around wondering, are there speakers in the hall? Kai's voice rang out with astonishing confidence. Okay, sir, this threat, do you have evidence of it and evidence that it's also a threat to our world? Also, how exactly are we supposed to help you? As far as I know, I never took any martial arts classes. I paid attention in PE, but I suspect it doesn't compare. My classmates chuckled. Yuki comes from a Japanese family of swordsmen. She can be your knight in sexy armor. My classmates filled the atmosphere with their subtle laughter. I just sank my hands into my pockets and watched from behind, yet to find anything really funny about this situation. The old man raised his hand. From beyond us a door opened and 2 ladies and 4 men, draped in priestly robes and nunly robes, walked out front carrying boxes in their hands. More priests and nuns soon joined, lining our front with boxes. I paid special attention to the nuns, feeling a sensation and urge rise in my pants and chest at the same time. I've always had this fantasy about nuns. Their large breasts hidden beneath those righteous ensembles, to tear them to shreds and reveal them in all their dirty glory. God, what am I thinking right now? Focus, Cade, focus. It was difficult, but I managed to suppress my hardening third leg from within my pocket and instead focused with an absolutely stern look on my face. In these boxes are 2 important things, a very high-grade spirit core and relics that once belonged to heroes of the past. Kai's brown eyes glistened sharply as he looked forward. What are they for? The old man from above the arched outcrop answered with a gentle tone. That is a good question, young Otherworlder. Each of you has unique souls that attune you to spirits, but not just any kind of spirit. Heroic spirits. What are heroic spirits? These are spirits of people who once shaped the course of history, whether on a regional, national, or continental level. Only spirit summoners can summon these types of spirits, and that is why we have summoned you all here. For you to awaken your true abilities as spirit summoners, call upon the spirits of the heroes and save our world again. My eyes widened involuntarily. What? Chapter 3, I awakened as an F-rank spirit summoner. First of all, you will all awaken as spirit summoners and reveal your ranks, after which we'll commence the summoning ritual where you'll gain your eternal allies. The class buzzed with excitement, chattering about everything and nothing. I wonder if I'm going to summon a knight on a white horse, a handsome prince like Silas. Me too, this might actually be my chance to snag my Mr. Charming CEO who treats me like a dog and beats me and fucks me afterwards. I'm not sure about that, but whatever suits you, I guess. I just want someone who goes on their knees and gives me flowers. A boy or girl will do, honestly. I found my place somewhere in the back as everyone chattered with excitement and curiosity. They were going to get summons and command them to fight. It was genuinely joyous, and honestly, I felt the same way. I was just as thrilled, only pretending not to be because I'm the weird, estranged guy in this class. But deep in my heart, I was busy praying. A sweet heroine with a teasing streak is all I ask for, righteous and valiant, fiercely protective of me, and someone who loves me for who I am. Someone who will let me hit without sucking my bank account dry, please, please, please. My plea paused when the class murmur suddenly spiked. Wow, Derek is a B-rank spirit summoner. Derek, a tall, broad-shouldered boy with brown hair falling dramatically to his jaw, walked away from the group, smirking. Guess I ended up becoming the knight in shining armor, haha, we rock. I narrowed my eyes and watched him from afar as he gloated. Derek had been the class bully from day one. He preyed on the weak, the generic bully, except he actually had taste, class, and sense. What I'd call a dangerous bully. I need to awaken at least C rank to get someone like him off my back. Oh, Max got A rank. A rank has to be higher than B rank, right? Woo, interesting. I wonder if I'll get A rank too, or even higher. Bah, dream on, you belong to the street. F rank is your destiny, you gutter babe. My right hand in my pocket conveniently scratched the area around my balls as I studied the drama unfolding. Next was a C-rank summoner, then a D-rank, another 2 C-ranks and E-rank before we eventually got another A-rank, the class Beauty. After her I stepped forward, my turn to awaken and see my rank. I sighed, releasing all the tension and anxiety coiled in my chest. Whatever it is, I don't care as long as it's not F-rank, anything but F-rank, just, please, anything else. I placed my hands on top of the orb, trying not to glance at the nun's breasts, shaped beneath her garb with its corners and folded lines. The orb began to glow and a panel suddenly materialized above it. I could see it. Everyone could see it clearly, and it simply read, "Congratulations, you have AWAKNED as an F-rank spirit summoner." What? This was the moment my entire world came crashing down. Oh, F-rank, that's a first, but isn't that Cade Marlowe, the son of that congressman you know, the one running for state governor? Yes, I always see him. Bro acts like he can't mingle with us, so proud and weird. Serves him right, he's always acting like he's better than us, segregating himself from the rest of the class. Excuse me. My mouth nearly fell open as the murmurs of my classmates drifted into my ears. What, proud, acting superior? I'm just a kid who hated school and wanted to be left alone. How is that being proud? My throat suddenly felt dry and scratchy, my heart weighed heavy in my chest, twisting as if the pain in their words was reaching out to my heart and crushing it. I really just wanted to be on my own. How come you're all twisting it into something else? I slowly walked away. As I did, Kai looked at me with pitiful eyes and patted my shoulder before walking to his turn. I returned to the back of the crowd and could still hear their murmurs. The only thing that silenced them was when Kai's result appeared. S-rank. As expected of Kai Alexander. The student president is S-rank. CHHE, come on brah. Maybe I'm going to get an S-rank too. I tore my eyes away from the crowd and looked down. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't hurt. I could still feel the pain tightening around my chest. This wasn't how it was supposed to go. I was supposed to be, not special, but not this, not the absolute bottom. How come I'm in this position? More names continued to ring out, but I didn't pay attention anymore. I just lowered my head and stared, thinking. After a while, the entire class finished awakening, and the old man upstairs addressed us again. Now you've all awakened and seen your rank, you shall begin the summoning process. He took a breath and continued. Spirits have 9 tiers. Regardless of the tier you summon, you'll all be summoning heroic spirits who have saved the continent and the world. They are far more powerful than any other spirits. He looked at us with his half-closed eyes. Also, the tier of heroes you can summon depends solely on your rank. The lowest spirit tier is the mortal tier, local heroes, skilled warriors, and minor historical figures. The best an F-rank can summon is this tier. His half-closed eyes opened fully, just long enough to find me in the crowd, to let me see the thinly veiled contempt. Message received, old man. Then there is the awakened tier, regional legends and recognized masters summoned by E-ranks. There's also the elite tier, famous generals, master craftsmen, and celebrated figures. The champion tier, war heroes, legendary knights, and nation-level figures. My classmates erupted in excited murmurs as their ranks fell into the favorable categories. There were plenty of C ranks, so the murmurs swelled especially loud this time. The hero tier, continental heroes, civilization-saving legends, and the legend tier, multi-generational legends, mythical warriors, and the myth tier, world-shaking figures, near-divine legends. There are also 2 other tiers, the sovereign tier and the Calamity-tier. These tiers of spirits never respond to summons, or at most will respond at the risk of one's life. We've only seen one in 800 years of history. The man smiled weakly. Do not worry, having a mythic tier is enough to shake the world. The existence of an S-rank spirit summoner is truly a blessing from the heavens. The class murmured, all of them celebrating Kai, who stood in the middle smiling shyly and scratching his head. The old man's amplified voice boomed again. I shall teach you about your summoner status. The class fell silent and focused on him. Now that you've all awakened, a lodestar has been registered in your spirit core, and it can provide you with the information you need to know. All you need to do is call status in your minds. Following the man's instructions, gasps rose into the air. God, I swear I can actually see things. What is this? I can see my name. I tried the same thing. Status. Summoner status. Name Cade Marlowe. Rank F. Spirit Essence 100-100. Active Spirits none. Attributes. Summoner's Touch Basic LV 1. Infinite Vitality Basic LV 1. Perfect Fit Basic LV 1. The old man continued his explanation regardless of what we were doing. Right now you will see your name, your rank, your spirit essence, the spirits you have which shall be none, and your attributes which also shall be none. You will gain attributes when you summon your first spirit. Other intricate matters such as combat, the functions of attributes, and how they can be evolved will be taught to you in the Kingdom Academy. For now, let us proceed with the summoning. My brows knitted together as I inspected my status over and over again. Didn't the old man say I have to summon a heroic spirit to gain attributes? How come I already have 3? Chapter 4 I summoned a villainess. There are 2 essential things needed for summoning, if it's common summoning. All you need is a spirit core. However, because heroic spirits are the kind that can only respond to otherworlders like you, the summoning costs climb a bit higher. First is a relic that connects to the hero, then a high-grade spirit core. The old man's voice remained utterly flat throughout his explanation. The priests and priestesses will hand you a relic and a spirit core. All you have to do is channel your spirit essence into both items. Think of it as breathing, but with your entire body, not just your nose. My classmates immediately stepped forward and collected spirit cores and relics. Kai went first. The moment his essence touched the items, golden light poured from him like liquid sunshine. The air itself seemed to sing, and the light suddenly expanded, a golden circle flaring to life. The entire ground trembled like it was about to split apart, and the heat clung to me like a second skin. I didn't know what was about to happen, but the pressure already had my heart hammering with fear. From the embrace of the golden light pouring forth from the circle, something condensed into form, then mapped out a 7-foot-tall, massive figure. The light finally vanished and the atmosphere calmed. My heart was racing, but my eyes were in an even worse state when I saw what stood before Kai. The heroic spirit Kai had summoned was so imposing that standing near him made me feel like I was standing next to the midday sun. He was tall, adorned with golden ornate plates that seemed to generate their own light. The armor had a leonine quality, a maned helmet featuring a crowned crest and red cape flowing behind it like liquid fire. The spirit stood perfectly still, radiating authority and command. Even silent, it looked like it could lead armies. What the hell? I don't even need to know its tier to know he's going to be freaking strong. Hell, Kai, you hit the jackpot. So unfair, at least lose a little. The old man stared down from above, fighting to suppress the shock and joy coursing through his veins. He gripped the terrace of the outcropped platform and looked down for a moment before speaking. Otherworlder, kindly check your spirit's tier and fortitude. You can access this by simply calling upon the status of your heroic spirit. Kai looked down, then raised his head the next moment. Myth tier, and it says Fortitude 3.2. Kai laughed shyly, scratching his cheek. The old man responded immediately. 3.2 is an excellent starting number. Since spirit tiers are fixed, raising the fortitude of your heroic spirit is the only way for you to grow stronger, aside from evolving your own attributes and actually bonding with your spirits. He gestured towards Kai. You'll learn more about fortitude, but know that even in the past, no fortitude of 6 has ever been seen. 2,000 years ago, it was recorded that heroic spirits of fortitude 7 and 7.5 were seen, and gained the ability to talk and act on their own within the interest of their summoners. But this is considered merely ancient legends and scholarly deduction on the changes that happen when fortitude climbs high enough. This is the strongest heroic spirit we've seen in 800 years, Emperor Aurelius Rex, the Sun King who never knelt. With his words, the others seemed to glow with radiant hope, and before I knew it, the next summon was already happening. At this point, no one was waiting for each other, they just took a corner and summoned their heroic spirit. I received my relic and spirit core, a red piece of cloth, surprisingly soft with edges that looked like they'd been torn rather than cut. It felt warm in my hand, too warm like it had been sitting in sunlight. I took a corner and observed the old man up there subtly watching me. Then I proceeded with the summoning, sincerely hopping in my heart. Dear heroine, here I come. I released my spirit essence and let it flow toward the tip of my fingers, as easy as breathing. As I did this, a dull gray circle just like Kai's appeared on the ground around me and glowed duller and duller, like it was suddenly going to sputter out on me or something. Then suddenly, I heard the Lodester's voice. Warning! 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 Extremely high tier DTCTD. Calamity-tier DTCTD. Commencing summon. My brows furrowed together, confusion welling in my heart. Along with the sudden alert, the dull gray magic circle suddenly flared red and released a blazing light that overwhelmed the other ongoing summonings. I staggered back, feeling a bad premonition in my gut. Black sparks like corrupted lightning flared around the red light and spread outward, releasing a shockwave that exploded and shattered glass, causing everyone to scream and duck their heads. Oh no, this can't be good. The old man was already glaring at me with hostility, unable to hide his shock anymore. Even the priests and priestesses looked terrified. The crimson light and black whips of lightning converged to form a figure. Slowly I craned my neck. Standing before me was a full 6-foot-tall, heroic spirit with a full-face helmet bearing 2 jagged horns like a demon's. As I first saw the generous chest embedded in sinister black plate armor, my heart and groin swelled with joy. Then a moment later that joy died as I heard the old man's voice. Abomination, this is an aberration against the gods. This otherworlder has not summoned a heroic spirit. What he has summoned is a disaster that nearly destroyed our world. How can this be? What sort of omen is this? My heart plummeted to my stomach as his words struck my ears. The gazes of my classmates turned even worse. Their eyes dripped with disgust, hatred, irritation. Some even chuckled and mocked me as if the sin I'd committed wasn't the exact same thing they'd all been doing. Knights of Light, seize this vermin this instant. Wait, what? Chapter 5, arresting me after summoning me to your world, come on. Knights of Light, seize this vermin this instant. As if they had been waiting for his command, 4 knights in polished steel armor and billowing white cloaks burst from the entrance, immediately drawing their gleaming longswords as they charged toward me. Seeing the wall of blades, hearing the thunder of heavy footsteps, at that moment my heart began hammering and sweat slicked my body. Cold dread seized me and panic clawed at my chest. What am I? I glanced at the tall demoness standing before me like a blade drawn from the dark. Jagged black armor clung to her form like a second skin, organic and cruel, as if it had grown from her rather than been forged. As my eyes focused on her, I felt a connection, something faint but undeniable, as if I didn't even need to speak for her to understand me. She shifted her stance, angling her shoulder forward. Red sparks crackled along her arm as the first knight lunged, and she drove the jagged spike on her pauldron straight through his guard. The black spike of her armor impaled the knight's arm, and using her height she hoisted him off the ground before delivering a vicious slap that sent him spinning through the air and crashing into the wall beside the platform where the old man stood. A great sword, impossibly large, nearly twice her height, materialized in her hand, its dull crimson blade paired with an ominous black hilt and crossguard. She swung it from behind with ease, the movement tearing through the wind with weight and menace. When she slammed it against the next knight, his head smacked the floor, sending webbed cracks spiraling outward before he tumbled away like a wrecked vehicle. She twirled her sword effortlessly and brought it down upon another knight. However, in that instant, golden light erupted beneath her. As she slammed the greatsword down, a shockwave exploded, sending even me staggering backward and fracturing the pillars that held the hall. The entire hall shook as if it would collapse. As I peered through the settling cloud of dust, I saw Emperor Aurelius beneath her, blocking her strike with his own longsword comparable in height to hers. The atmosphere froze into a moment of pressure and silence as both remained locked in position. Then I heard Kai's voice. Cade, it doesn't have to be like this, don't do this. My brows furrowed. What is this bastard talking about? Try getting arrested in a world you know nothing about. He shouted again, as if I were standing mountains away from him. I understand you're scared and this is a strange world. We don't know what they're going to do to you, but resisting like this, is that the best you can think of? My gaze hardened. Do you have a better idea? He stepped toward me. Yes, for now, surrender. Let's speak on your behalf. It's not your fault you summoned a disaster, and more importantly, it's still within your control. He placed his hand on his chest as if positioning himself as my beacon of hope. Let me reason with the authorities here. Trust me, I won't let anything happen to you. My hardened gaze persisted and darkened further. Honestly, I didn't buy his bullshit, but he was also right in a way. I had little information and no idea what I'd be up against if I decided to resist and run. Hell, I haven't even been past this hall. I don't know what it looks like outside. So I was left with too few choices and it seemed I'd have to depend on Kai. I didn't trust him, but I was certain the hero in him would want to prove itself. The least I could do was rely on that. Or at least devise another plan in the meantime. One thing I knew, I wasn't dying here. I gave my summon a mental command to stand down, and immediately she relaxed her shoulders and pulled back, disintegrating into a whirlwind of red sparks. Instantly, I felt something rush back into my soul, and with it came crushing fatigue. My steps faltered as I tried to walk forward, my vision blurred, my knees buckled, and the cold stone rushed up to meet my face. Everything went dark. I had passed out. My eyes shot open and immediately I sat up, only to find myself in a dark room, my brows knitted together as I observed my surroundings. It wasn't so dark that I couldn't see anything. Pale moonlight filtered through a barred window high above, painting silver lines across stone walls that smelled of damp and old metal. I could make out a table and chair beside the bed I'd woken on and a heavy metallic door. The room itself was wide enough for 10 people to occupy without feeling cramped, but the realization that I was in a prison cell made me feel suffocated regardless. I rested my elbows on my knees, staring down and replaying everything that had happened. From suddenly receiving the strange lodestar while I was in class to finding myself in a new world, awakening as a wretched F-rank, and now summoning an evil spirit instead of a heroic spirit like they'd expected. An incredulous chuckle escaped my lips. Never had a bad day, huh? I lifted my head and exhaled. I've got to move past it anyway. Let's see, the man said we can check our summons status, right? I gave the mental command, and immediately it appeared. Spirit profile. Name Cassandra the Unconquered. Title The Tyrant Empress the Blood Conqueror. Spirit tier Calamity 9. Fortitude 8.2. Passive skills. Dominion Aura. Tactical Genius. Absolute Authority. Fear Incarnate. Activist KILLS. Emperor's Command. Intimidation Cascade. Tactical Dismantling. Tyrant's Advance. The Red Banner. As I read through it over and over, I paused on something striking. Fortitude 8.2 Calamity-tier. My eyes widened in disbelief. Didn't the old man say Fortitude 7.5 is considered a tall tale, and that Calamity-tier hasn't been seen in 800 years? My eyes blinked again. What the hell am I looking at right now? Chapter 6 The Lodestar Creator took my wish too serious. I pulled up my own status too. Summoner status. Name Cade Marlowe. Rank F. Spirit Essence 100-100. Active Spirits 1-5. Innate Attributes. Summoner's Touch Basic LV 1. Infinite Vitality Basic LV 1. Perfect Fit Basic LV 1. Extra Attributes. Emperor's Presence Basic LV 1. Strategic Apex Basic LV 1. Conqueror's Will Basic LV 1. Warlord's Command Basic LV 1. So many things confused me all at once. I was not an avid gamer, but I was not estranged from the world. In fact, I had played a couple of gacha games like Genshin, Honkai Impact, 7 Heroes, and Crystal of Atlan. I also liked MMORPGs, so whatever this lodestar was, it wasn't an alien world to me. Which was why I could relate to and ask certain questions. First of all, I was F-rank, and I had just 100 spirit essences. That made me understand why I fainted like that. To be honest, I had almost thought someone smacked me from behind, but then I didn't feel any pain, so it had to be exhaustion. Then 5 spirits 1 active. Does this mean I have 5 spirits nestled in the depths of my soul, but I can only summon one? Due to limitation in spirit essence, you can only summon one villainous spirit, which was the first to answer your call, Tyrant Empress. So the remaining 4 came late, so they have to be benched for now. Due to limitation in spirit plane, you can only hold 5 villainous spirits. Evolve your spirit essence and spirit plane capacity to be able to summon and house more villainous spirits. That's possible. The lodestar didn't respond to my question, but then, if it wasn't possible, it wouldn't say it was. Wouldn't that be equal to raising my rank? I considered this very carefully, which made me come to the conclusion that I couldn't presumably say it was equal to raising one's rank. Moreover, I had reasons to believe that this particular lodestar I had with me was due to more errors, and so there was a chance that my progression was an outlier compared to my other classmates. This meant that the F rank could just really be a name with no weight. But as far as societal hierarchy went, I was already tarnished by that name and would continue to be. It was a bit saddening, but realizing where my potential lay raised my spirits a bit. If I have 5 spirits, doesn't that mean I have more extra attributes than this? The old man did say you gain attributes from your spirit, so I definitely have more. Extra attributes are inaccessible due to limitations. When your soul plane expands, you will be able to access other villainous spirits, hence their attributes. Seeing this, a simple understanding settled in my mind, causing me to nod my head. Next, I went over the attributes I received from Tyrant Empress. Emperor's presence gave me an intimidation aura. Strategic Apex gave me enhanced tactical thinking during battle. Conqueror's will made my mind stronger and slightly more resistant to mental attacks, while with Warlord's command, I could give orders that compelled obedience. But the only sad thing was that these abilities were still in their weak stage, though they all had insane potential should I level them up. It was cool, so cool that I was beginning to feel too comfortable, forgetting that I was currently in a prison cell. But I carried on with that level of excitement and decided to check my innate attributes. The first thing that escaped my mouth was a gasp. I think whoever created this system took me too seriously when I said I wanted to make use of the one thing about my body that made sense. Summoner's Touch Basic LV 1. Description: your touch naturally heightens physical desire in villainesses. Contact releases an irresistible, heat-inducing allure that weakens resistance and amplifies arousal. Infinite Vitality Basic LV 1. Description: grants you tireless stamina and sustained arousal. Fatigue and release do not diminish sexual performance, allowing continuous activity without loss of control or strength. Perfect Fit Basic LV 1. Description: your body instinctively adapts to any partner, ensuring flawless alignment and sensation. Size and shape shift seamlessly to create perfect compatibility and pleasure. What in the world? Did I just get the ability to make my villainesses horny, endless sexual stamina, and this one, my body can adapt? Be more specific, damn it. I couldn't help but shake my head in disbelief, then I dismissed the system. What is this? Is this a joke? I'm fighting for my life here. Silence suddenly filled the entire room like a loud noise. My throat dried and a hot sensation was slowly rising in my chest. I pulled up the innate attributes descriptions and read them again just to be sure. I'm alone. I have a villainess who's a female. I could just test it out, right? I mean, I'm not a perv or anything like that. I'm simply testing out my abilities. I gulped and closed my eyes, then issued a simple mental command, summoning the Tyrant Empress. Crimson light with black whips of lightning erupted before me, though less dramatic than before, and converged to form the Tyrant Empress. There she stood, her black, lusterless armor gleaming coldly beneath the pale light of the moon. The black steel curved and sharpened every contour of her body. The generous chest that stood perfectly made me wonder what amazing forgesmith would have been so endearing as to craft such a delicate piece, so perfect in shape. Moreover, I even wondered how her breasts could manage to fit in the plate. Her hips were bare, no metal plate protection, just pale, almost white skin gleaming at me, making my throat dry. I hesitantly moved my hands, tracing the region of her pelvic line down to her thigh while mentally activating Summoner's Touch. The feel of her skin was gentle against my palm like fresh bread, soft. I shifted and ran my hand back to her ass. There it was. Weighted against her hips that were curved like questions meant to be answered with hands was a rear that wasn't just soft but also had weight, as if the two side cheeks were about to fall due to their immense heft, in fact. I gulped as I rubbed my hands around the first cheek, immediately feeling a strong urge between my legs, a mountain threatening to rise if I went any further. I gulped again, testing my attributes. Suddenly, the air got cold, and I felt something burrowing into my soul from above like a predatory and powerful gaze. Then a cold and mocking tone came. How vulgar. My heart plummeted to my stomach. Chapter 7. I'm a shameless summoner and I accept it. Huh. My entire world felt like it had just been crushed by a speeding train tied to the tracks and overrun. My body went cold at the sound of that voice. Even with fear gripping my heart, my head tilted upward, neck stiff, eyes trembling as I tried to confirm what I'd just heard. Her helmet vanished in a scatter of red sparks, revealing a face glaring down at me with pure disgust. Amber eyes cut into me like I was filth. Her pale, ethereal, coldly beautiful face was framed by red hair, a wild, resplendent mess. A tiny mole sat below the corner of her right eye, adding a dangerous, enchanting edge to her already lethal beauty. Then it hit me. Are spirits even supposed to talk or look this damn gorgeous? You still won't get your filthy hands off my ass, summoner. My entire body jolted, and I yanked my hand away from the soft curve I'd been clenching. I was just testing my summoner attribute. She turned slowly, folding her arms beneath the generous bundle still caged in that metal plate. The armor shifted with the movement. Sinuous and inviting, nothing like rigid steel. What the hell is that armor made of? You dare leer at my breasts after spouting such pathetic lies, summoner. I jerked my head up. I. No words, just the brutal realization that I was royally fucked. A summoner caught groping his own summon, as if my day couldn't sink lower. The Tyrant Empress chuckled, mocking low with a sinful undertone laced through her glare. This is not happening. I've seen greedy kings fall, power-drunk emperors beg, and pedophiles die screaming on stakes. I've watched shameless men chase vile desires with blood on their hands. She laughed again, soft and cruel. But an F-rank summoner touching his own summon, that's a first. She stepped closer, too close, until she stood between my legs. One boot came up onto the bed, her thighs parting right before my face. Her stare burned down, daring me to look. And I did. I gulped, throat tightening, hunger swelling like a beast in my chest. The mountain that had collapsed began to rise again. This little brother has no shame. She tilted her head, lips curling in a mocking smirk. Summoner, you really plan to keep being this perverted? The space between her pelvis and my face was too damn close. The faint, heady scent rolling off her armor's edge made my breath grow warm and shaky. My brows pulled tight as I locked eyes with her. Aren't you shameless too? Look at you, this position, this armor. What kind of warrior struts around like this? Did you go around fucking greedy kings and power-drunk emperors? Her eyes flared, turning slight crimson with fury. How dare you? Honestly, I didn't even know where that came from, but I was done. Done with my classmates treating me like trash, done getting arrested, done being insulted by my own summon. How dare me, how dare you too? My gaze darkened, I didn't care anymore. I shoved my hand forward, summoner's touch igniting beneath my skin, and grabbed the slick heat between her thighs, then flipped her onto the bed. Her body jolted and shivered against my grip, warmth pooling into my palm. She froze, caught between shock, disbelief, and outrage. Then her brows knit tight, eyes blazing, but under that fury was something else, something she fought to hide. Her lips pressed tight, her breathing uneven. You vile summoner, get off me this instant. Her mouth said one thing, the slick heat in my palm said another. She was strong enough to break free, but she was. In the end, this wasn't one-sided. She wanted it to. Why else was summoner's touch working so effectively? The air thickened, heat swelling between us, silence stretching with my hand still cupping her. I slid my palm up and down, she trembled. "What is this?" she shouted. "What sort of domination technique are you, MMM?" I clamped my hand over her mouth, leaning in. Then I pulled back my other hand, cupping her groin. Slickness glistened on my fingers, dripping slowly down my palm. Damn, she soaked. All because of Summoner's touch. No, it only amplifies what's already there. This villainess is also a vile vixen. How can she get so much wet in seconds, as if she has been starved for centuries? The realization hit like a spark. Her movements earlier, stepping close, climbing onto my bed, shoving her hips in my face, weren't coincidence. She was trying to dominate me. The guilt I'd felt using the skill cracked and fell away. If I hadn't acted first, she might have crushed me, and in the wrong places too. Getting dominated by a Tyrant Empress wasn't a bad idea, but certainly not a day like this. I looked down at her beneath me now, face flushed red, eyes averted, arms wrapped around herself. Her armor strained over her full breasts, jutting toward me. A slow, wicked grin crept across my face. Chapter 8. I'm not a monster, okay? Then I moved my hand, caught her cheek, and turned her face toward me. My stare hardened, stern, fierce, or at least as fierce as I could manage. I took one of her hands and guided it to the bulge in my pants, straightening my back, gaze locked on hers. Tell me right here and right now that you don't want this inside you, that you don't feel the thirst in your throat, wondering how it would feel filling you. Her fingers lingered, hesitantly tracing the outline through the fabric. The dominance in her eyes flickered out, replaced by a cornered kitten's fear. She turned away, crimson blooming across her cheeks, brows creased. "Get off me." I exhaled, pulled back, and stood beside the bed. The bulge in my trousers strained the fabric forward. Her eyes darted to it, widening for an instant before she looked away and rose to her feet. Silence thickened between us. For a moment I almost regretted leaving her alone, but there were lines a man should cross. Shameless was one thing, monstrous was another. She was still my summon. "I'm sorry," I said quietly. "Today's been hell. I'm not some vile creature. I didn't ask for any of this. One moment I'm summoned into another world, branded weak, and the next I'm in a cell trying to have my way with my own summon." Shame settled heavy in my chest. The Tyrant Empress shifted and sat beside me, her breasts rising and falling with each small motion, the strange alloy of her armor tightening around them, nipples pressing faintly against the metal. I forced my gaze upward. At least you have the spine to be my master." The word startled me, my head snapped toward her. "Pardon." A smirk curved her wickedly beautiful lips. "I'm nothing like those heroic spirits. I don't care about the world or its people. I barely care about you." Confusion coiled in my gut. "Then why answer my summon?" Her smirk turned sultry as she leaned in, her breath grazing my ear. "Life is boring being an unsummoned spirit." She leaned back, eyes glinting. "For millennia, villainous spirits have rotted in the spirit realm, unwanted, unsummoned, starving for lust, power, destruction. No summoner had the spine to call us. But the moment the door finally opened, we fought like beasts to pass through. I was closest, so I slipped in first. Maybe a few others made it too, hard to say." I nodded slowly, letting it sink in. Still, one question gnawed at me. Why had my summoning reached the villainous spirit world instead of the heroic one? I glanced at her face, now softened, curious, almost cute. The tension had faded. Pulling up her profile, I read again. Spirit profile. Name: Cassandra the Unconquered. Title: The Tyrant Empress, the Blood Conqueror. Spirit tier: Calamity 9. Fortitude 8.2. Passive skills: Dominion Aura. Tactical Genius. Absolute Authority. Fear Incarnate. Activist KILLS. Emperor's Command. Intimidation Cascade. Tactical Dismantling. Tyrant's Advance. The Red Banner. A Tier 9 spirit with 8.2 Fortitude. She can talk, think, and move with her own will. Since her helmet can come off, I guess the rest of her armor can too. I caught myself smirking. I wonder how she'd look in sports shorts. Damn it, not now. Exhaling, I looked back at her. "Cassandra," I said softly, "is it all right if I call you Cassie?" Her eyes widened, surprise flashing blankly across her face. Then, just as quickly, her gaze darkened. But before I could react, a strange weakness flooded my body. "Your spirit essence is low. Your villainous spirit is being dispelled." What no? As I was about to protest, Cassie's image shattered into a swirl of black and crimson sparks, and then she was gone. Vanished, leaving me alone in the prison cell, with the mountain still rising in my pants. I frowned and pulled up my status window. Summoner status. Name Cade Marlowe. Rank F. Spirit Essence 4100. Active Spirits 15. Tusk. I clicked my tongue in disappointment, the limit of an F rank. I sank onto the bed, hands behind my head, staring up at the full moon pouring through the barred window. Its light seemed to sneer down at me as if saying, "I saw that, you pervert." 19 years on Earth, and this was the closest I'd ever come to having sex. Had to get summoned to another world and end up in a cell with a girl I thought couldn't even talk for me to come this close. Honestly, I'd played games with scenes like this before. It wasn't that strange, right? Still, virgins like me didn't get it easy. I can't die a virgin in this world too, no way. With my innate attributes, things have changed. Now I just need to raise my spirit essence and spirit plane so I can summon even more villainesses. I'll build a harem of them if I have to. But first, I needed out of this damned cell. Since that wasn't happening soon, I turned to the only immediate problem left. I freed my throbbing shaft and wrapped my hand around it, closing my eyes as Cassie's body replayed behind them, the curve of her ass, the swing of her hips, the perfect weight of her breasts pressing against that dark alloy armor. I imagined tearing it off, taking her mouth, her moans, her heat wrapping around me, her voice whispering filth in my ear as I pushed deeper, harder, her cries sweet and sharp as lightning rushed through me. The tension snapped. Creamy hot release surged from me in a single shot, splattering the cold metal door across the cell. I let out a breath that trembled on the edge of laughter. Relief rolled over me like a tide. Then I heard, "Due to innate attribute, infinite vitality, all your stamina has been restored. Your spirit essence has been restored. Your physical stamina has been restored. Your spirit essence has been restored. Your physical stamina has been restored. Your spirit essence has been restored. Your physical stamina has been restored. Your spirit essence has been restored. Your spirit essence has been restored beyond limit. Your physical stamina has been restored beyond limit." My eyes were staring in holy shock. Chapter 9. All praise the radiant hero. Summoner status. Name Cade Marlowe. Rank F. Spirit Essence 110-110. Active Spirits 15. I blinked and stared at the increased limit, small but it had definitely risen. This change had me thinking. Maybe it's not that spirit essence can be increased, but rather that my spirit essence can be increased. But will this later affect my rank? For a moment, curiosity sparked, then vanished. Because of this anomaly, F rank would be the perfect excuse to stay away from prying eyes, especially those of the kingdom itself. I yanked the bed sheet free to clean the door and wipe away every trace of my release, then placed it at the foot of my bed and lay down. I welcomed the thought of summoning Cassie again, but slowly I drifted to sleep. The next time I woke, it was a loud bang on the door that jolted me awake. I sluggishly stood from my bed and rubbed my eyes, staring at the two knights before me. From behind them, someone stepped forward, looking at me with pity. He had golden blonde hair, properly groomed with neat bangs stopping just above his brows and parted in the center. "Kai," I muttered as his face fully formed. He looked different. He'd changed from our black trousers and white jacket school uniform to a crisp white coat with a belt and blue cloak draped from one shoulder, radiating a royal, pristine aura. He smiled at me. "Cade." He glanced around, his smile fading. "I'm sorry you had to sleep somewhere like this on your first night." I waved him off and smiled. "It's not like it's your fault, let's blame my demonic luck." I raised my gaze and met his radiant blue eyes. "So what's up, any developments?" He turned to the knights behind him. "I'd like a moment alone with him, please." One of the knights retorted immediately. "Spirit Summoner, he is a bad omen and could be in league with the heretics. The Archpriest has ordered that we keep you safe." Kai's gaze hardened. "I'm an S rank, so I'm certainly strong enough to protect myself." The knights hesitated but pulled back and stepped outside. Afterward, Kai walked toward me and leaned against the wall. He folded his arms. Things actually look very bad. I exhaled. Tell me what exactly is going on. As you know, this is the kingdom of Aetheris. The kingdom and the church of eternal light were the ones that summoned us into this world, and we were summoned because… I got that part yesterday, Kai. What I want to know is why I'm still sitting here in this prison. If they think I'm a bad omen and a disaster to them, then they should just send me back home. What are you saying? He exhaled gently. Calm down, Cade. I spoke with them too. According to what they said, sacrifices were made to bring us to this place, and even greater sacrifices have to be made to send any of us back. I nodded, getting that part. Okay, so it's not impossible. Why do you think I care what sacrifices have to be made? They didn't ask for our permission or care about how great the sacrifices were before they dragged us here. Now I've summoned a spirit that posed a threat to them. I'm their enemy, so send me home. Now that's a problem. With every syllable that left my mouth, red-hot anger rose in my chest. Kai looked at me with a shy chuckle. To be honest, his usually radiant smile was looking irritating right now. He gestured with his hands. They said it's more complicated than that. However, I was able to reason with them. If they can't send you back, then they have no right to hold you here. You have to attend the academy like the rest of us and learn how to survive and protect yourself in this world. I looked at him with doubt. And they agreed. He smiled radiantly. Yes, they did. They agreed to let you have a normal life and attend the academy. But the condition is that after the academy you'll be on your own. The kingdom will not support you in any way, and if you're found guilty of any crime, you'll be executed. What? My brows creased together, and you agreed to such a thing? His unease spilled out, and he shrugged like a clueless child. I mean, it was the best I could get. They weren't willing to release you unless I agreed to these terms. I covered my face, exhaling in absolute disappointment. This guy is a wuss. Shifting my hand away from my face, I looked at him. So what now? Can I at least leave this damn place? He gulped, looking away from me. At that moment my anger threatened to erupt, but I suppressed it. So this is where I'll be staying? He replied sheepishly. Well, they said if you can afford another space of your own, that's fine. The kingdom has limited resources to spare and you'll have to make do here for now. The pain and disappointment were so heavy they were difficult to swallow. I glanced at the folded bed sheets at the corner of my bed and sighed. Can I at least get new bedding and clothes? He smiled assertively, relief flooding his face. Yes, I'll make arrangements for that. There's also a bathroom and toilet somewhere around here. You're not a prisoner, so you're free to walk around anytime you like as long as it isn't curfew. I sighed. At this point, I didn't even care any more about what he was saying, but he continued nonetheless. Also, the academy starts this morning. Try to make it to class early. We'll be taught all sorts of things on how to use our heroic spirits and even combat. And what about your spirit summon? Have you been able to figure anything out? I shook my head. Not at all, man, there's nothing special. What about you? I eyed him covertly. Well, not much. Rex just stands around like a statue. I tried a couple of things, talking to him, throwing stuff at him to test his reflexes, but he doesn't move unless I command him to. I guess when I raise his fortitude point he's going to grow more conscious. That's what the bishop said. Oh, and the bishop is that man who addressed us yesterday. From what I heard, he's second in command next to the king. We also met the king and queen yesterday. He scratched his head, catching himself belatedly. Ah, sorry, I'm just rambling. What about you? What's your spirit summons fortitude? My gaze was fixed on the ground as I responded in a flat, uninterested tone. 1. Shock flashed across his face, then something else, relief. Well, don't worry, you'll have plenty of opportunities to grow. I guess we'll meet at the academy, huh? He smiled and walked away, but he stopped at the door and glanced back at me. Hey Cade, I'm really sorry, I tried my best. I gave him a fake smile. It's fine, pal, take care of yourself. Chapter 10. I really don't understand bullies. After a while, I traced my way to the bathroom that was spoken of. Of course, the condition of the place nearly made me puke. I'd never seen restrooms in such a vile state. Eventually, I made it out and just wore the same uniform and the white undershirt, leaving the jacket in my prison cell, or should I say, my room. I walked through the dark hallway of the prison, passing other thick metal doors, probably holding other prisoners. Maybe some unjustly arrested like me. I came out to a wide-open yard where soldiers were sparring and dueling. The moment I stepped out of the hallways, light poured into my face, threatening to blind me. I turned away, squinting. Different soldiers stood around sparring at various angles, striking at each other with astonishing speed and clashing together. Metals rang as they met, boots scraped against the white sand, chatters and murmurs rose from others engaged at different angles. Some sat on wooden platforms and other structures I couldn't even recognize. And then it finally truly dawned on me in a different way. I really am in another world. Towards the corner where some soldiers were sitting, one of them tapped another and gestured at me with his gaze. They stood up, all three of them, and began walking towards me. I turned my head away, pretending not to notice, and headed in the opposite direction. Then it hit me that I actually didn't know where I was going. It was also going to be difficult for anyone to show me because by now they knew I was F rank and of course social hierarchy, they'd want to prey on me naturally. Left to me, I wanted to avoid this nonsense, but sometimes some things are unavoidable and you just have to do what you have to do. I slowed my step and let them catch on. "Hey kid." I turned swiftly, pointing curiously to myself. Who else would we be talking to? The famous F rank. The tallest one among them spoke, his voice a threatening gruff. He grinned maliciously as he stared down at me, eyes predatory. "Come over." I let out a sigh and walked towards him. Getting to his front, I explained. "I'm kind of late for the academy, and I'm also wondering if you could help me navigate my way there." The soldier sneered and laughed. "Well, sure, I'll consider it if you kneel and beg." I gave him a doubtful look. "That's all? Really?" Quickly, my knees touched the ground. Pride belongs to the rich and privileged. In this world, I don't have a politician father or the privileges that would make me automatically earn anyone's favor. "What?" All of them looked shocked, and I couldn't help but wonder aloud. "What? Why are you all shocked? Didn't you ask me to kneel?" I plugged my pinky finger into my ear, cleaned off the dirt, and blew it away. "So can anyone please show me to the academy?" All of them stared in shock, blinking. Then the tall soldier in the middle frowned at me. "How can you kneel so easily?" Now it was my turn to be shocked. Why does he sound angry? "Because you asked me to. Didn't he just ask me to kneel?" I looked at the lithe soldier standing to his left to confirm. He nodded hesitantly, also confused. I turned back to him. "So will you help me figure out the way to the academy?" The tall soldier gritted his teeth. His face reddened and suddenly he was looking so angry, and honestly I couldn't understand why. He lunged and grabbed my collar, yelling, spitting in my face in the process. "Do you think this is a joke? You're supposed to be the heroes, otherworlders summoned to save us, and you just kneel like it's nothing. Where is your pride?" Now he was lecturing me on pride after abandoning his to bully me. "Oh, is that what you thought, that I'd be prideful and refuse to kneel?" I let loose a short laugh. "I'm a very shameless person. Pride is for people who are rich. Can you see that I'm living in a prison cell? The kingdom doesn't even want to help me with money. What will pride help me do in this situation? By the way, brother, can you lend me a few bucks? I don't know how money works here. I'll be needing your help greatly. You look older, I'll call you senior brother. Senior brother, I'm in your care." He froze, staring at me with disbelief in his eyes. "Don't worry, I'll help you instead." The voice came from behind me. He looked up, frowning at the person who just came. "Let him go, Jerry." The tall soldier, Jerry, hesitantly released his grip on my clothes and pushed me back as he did. I staggered back, but the guy behind stopped me with his hand. "You're lucky we'll see each other again." He and his two goons walked away in anger, and I was left disappointed and worried about what exactly I'd done wrong. I shifted slightly and turned to the man who had helped me. Well, he wasn't exactly a man, he was a boy who looked to be my age, maybe 17. His face was a map of scars, one across his jaw, another bisecting his left eyebrow. And where his right eye should have been was a puckered scar, the socket empty. He actually looked slightly scary despite being so young. Thank you." My gratitude couldn't be convincing because even I wasn't sure if he'd helped me. I think I pretty much had it all under control. But that wasn't what mattered right now. He said something the other time. "Will you really help me?" I eyed him suspiciously, gauging from his appearance how rich he possibly could be. Yes, I'll help you. You need to go to the academy and you need to understand this world, right? Your mates were briefed last night, but you're pretty much clueless about everything. I can help you with all of that. We can even discuss it as we walk to the academy. My look of doubt increased yet again. Why, I'm F rank, you want to help an F rank? He laughed wildly, then looked at me with a smile. I'm F rank too, the difference is that you're a spirit summoner and I'm just a regular summoner. I immediately understood as I saw him, then I grinned with a corner of my mouth. Empathy, huh? Okay, then that works. Which way? Chapter 11, 7 Realms of Eildrim. We walked for a while before Flint flagged down a carriage, one of the cheaper ones, pulled by 2 weary white horses. 10 bronze to the Academy District, the driver grunted. Flint paid without hesitation and we climbed in. I opened my mouth to protest, some empty show of politeness, but he waved me off before I could start. I'm good, don't worry about me. Besides, walking would take close to an hour and you're already late. Carriages and mounts dominated city transportation, though regular summoners with strange beasts existed too. According to Knight Flint, those were rare and mainly used by merchants. Along the way, Flint steered me toward a street vendor in what he called the Eastern Market. The smell of fried dough and sizzling meat made my stomach growl audibly. 2 spiced rolls and 2 skewers, Flint ordered, counting out bronze coins carefully. I watched him pay 20 bronze total. For him, that probably wasn't much. You didn't have to. You're starving? Flint cut in, handing me a roll. And you're going to need energy for the academy. Besides, you knelt to Jerry and didn't even get directions out of it. Consider this my payment for the entertainment. The roll was warm, spiced with something that tasted like cinnamon and black pepper. I devoured it. So, Flint said, tearing into his own food, let me tell you what you need to know about this world. The world itself, according to his explanation, was called Eildrim. Eildrim had 7 realms, commonly referred to as the 7 Realms of Eildrim. While we were in the Central Realm, I confirmed some intriguing facts. Elves existed, along with several other races besides humans. My heart lifted with a thread of hope. The currency system was universal across all realms. The lowest denomination was the bronze coin, then came the silver coin, the gold coin, and the platinum coin. 1 silver coin equaled 100 bronze coins, 1 gold coin equaled 100 silver coins, 10,000 bronze, 1 platinum coin equaled 100 gold coins or 1,000,000 bronze. 1 bronze coin bought 1 apple, 1 mug of cheap ale at a tavern, or 1 loaf of bread. Granted, bread quality varied here. A family of 4 needed about 10 to 15 bronze to survive each day, while a single worker needed just 5 to 8. The meal we ate at the Eastern Market cost about 20 bronze coins, mostly because I'd needed my fill after yesterday's ordeal. A cheap meal for 1 should cost about 5 to 10 bronze. He explained other complex details like the military system in the Kingdom of Etheris. Apparently, Jerry, who'd tried to bully me before, was a common soldier. Mundane soldiers with no abilities, no bloodline powers, and definitely no summoning abilities. But he was a veteran earning about 50 silver coins every month. Knight Flint earned 120 silver coins every month, even as a low-level knight. Another fascinating thing he explained was bloodlines. Bloodline abilities were inherited powers, fire manipulation, enhanced strength, eagle-eye vision, things like that. Flint said most were fairly weak compared to summoners. A bloodline user might throw a fireball, he explained, but a spirit summoner can call a legendary pyromancer who burned entire armies. There's no comparison. He paused. Unless you're from the Imperial family, their bloodline, Radiant Imperium, is the only one that can match a spirit summoner in raw power. The carriage slowed as we approached the Academy District. Flint leaned forward. There. Luminaris Academy rose before us, a sprawling complex of white stone buildings with soaring towers and crystalline windows that caught the morning sun. Students in pristine uniforms moved between buildings, laughing, chatting, their spirits visible as shimmering auras. I felt very small suddenly. School again. I can't go in with you, Flint said as we climbed out. Low-level knights like me aren't expected or allowed in facilities like these. But, he hesitated. If you need anything, I'm usually around the Eastern Market or we can meet at the barracks, just ask for Flint. He rummaged his hand into his armor and brought out a pouch of coins. Here, 20 silver coins, I'm only lending you and will definitely have it back. I nodded with a broad smile, thanks for everything. He smiled, that too wide smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. Good luck, Cade, try not to kneel to anyone in there. I watched him walk away, Ash padding silently beside him before turning toward the academy gates. The moment I stepped through, the whispers started. That's him, the disaster summoner. A spirit summoner, that's F-rank, can you believe? I heard he attacked the knights. I kept walking, hands in pockets, heading toward the building Flint had pointed out, the main lecture hall. Inside, the seats were in descending arches carved like a semicircle facing a raised platform. Students filled the seats, my classmates from the summoning, all dressed in crisp new uniforms. I was still wearing my wrinkled school clothes from Earth. Every head turned when I entered. I found a seat in the very back corner near the window. No one sat near me. The empty space around me felt deliberate, like a quarantine zone. Fine by me. A few minutes later, the instructor arrived, a square-faced, muscle-bound man who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else. The man scribbled on the board without a word. Behind me, the chatter died instantly. My classmates leaned forward in their seats. He turned and jabbed a finger at his scrawl. What are spirits? The instructor's question hung in the air. Hands shot up immediately, eager, desperate to prove themselves. I recognized the hunger in their eyes, the same hunger I'd felt once back in grade 6 when I still believed in trying. You, the instructor pointed at Kai, who was sitting front and center. Spirits are manifestations of essence, Kai said confidently, beings that exist between the physical and metaphysical realms capable of forming bonds with summoners. Textbook answer, the instructor's expression didn't change, useless in practice, anyone else. Marcus Chen, a boy with messy, silvery white hair, raised his hand. Spirits are categorized by consciousness level and origin. The classification determines their capabilities and threat level. Better, the instructor turned back to the board, but still incomplete. Let me educate you properly since the church's propaganda apparently got to you first. He drove the chalk into the board with enough force to crack it. There are 4 primary classifications of spirits in Eildrim. Understanding the difference could save your life or end it. Wild beasts, he wrote quickly, his handwriting barely legible. Mundane animals, no spirit essence, no supernatural abilities. Wolves, bears, hawks, dangerous if you're stupid, irrelevant if you're not. These are what commoners hunt for food. Moving on. Spirit beasts, the chalk scraped aggressively. Now it gets interesting. Spirit beasts are creatures born from concentrated essence pools or corrupted by ambient magic. They possess supernatural abilities tied to their element or nature. He turned to face us, a long scar ran down his jaw. The church calls them heretical abominations. The guilds call them profitable hunting targets. I call them things that will kill you if you underestimate them. A few nervous laughs scattered through the room. Spirit beasts are ranked in 9 tiers, mirroring our own spirit classification but inverted. The church named them to brand these creatures as corruptions of natural order. He listed them quickly. Feral, savage, bestial, primal, apex, tyrant, profane, primordial, and cataclysm. I straightened in my seat. Cataclysm, the same tier as my. Feral and savage are common, you'll encounter them in the wild, kill them for materials, move on. Bestial through primal require actual tactics. Apex and above, he paused. Those are walking disasters. There are maybe 20 apex-tier beasts across all 7 realms. If you see one, you run, you don't fight it, you don't try to capture it, you run. What about Cataclysm tier? Elena Volkov asked, her Russian accent crisp. The A-rank Ice Queen looked genuinely curious. The instructor's jaw tightened. There are only 3 confirmed cataclysms in existence. All 3 are sealed. If any of them were to break free, Eildrim would end, not face a crisis, not suffer casualties, end completely. Silence swallowed the room. Next, he moved on like he hadn't just described the apocalypse. Regular spirits, more chalk scraping. These are what most summoners work with. Lesser spirits, beasts, elementals, nature entities. They lack true consciousness and legendary power, but they're common enough that guilds and academies can actually teach you how to use them properly. He counted off on his fingers. Beast summoners call wolves, eagles, bears multiple at once usually. Elemental summoners bind fire, water, earth, air spirits. Nature summoners work with plant life and forest guardians. Contract summoners bargain with spirits for temporary aid. These make up about 5% of the population. Respectable profession, steady income. You can't change the world with these, but you can survive it. Disdain colored every word. Heroic spirits. He underlined this 3 times. And finally, what makes you lot special? The instructor's gaze swept across the room, lingering on a few students before skipping over me entirely. Heroic spirits, legendary figures from history and myth. Heroes, conquerors, saints, warriors, mages, the people who changed the world when they were alive. He tapped the board again. These spirits possess true consciousness. They think, strategize, remember their past lives. They can teach you, advise you, even refuse your commands if you're idiotic enough to deserve it. Spirit summoners, heroic spirit summoners are approximately 0.01% of the population. You 23 students represent more spirit summoners than some kingdoms have produced in centuries. Pride rippled through the room. I felt nothing. Don't let it go to your heads, the instructor continued flatly. Rare doesn't mean competent. Half of you will waste your potential through arrogance, another quarter through incompetence. The rest might actually amount to something. He turned back to the board and wrote one more thing. Spirit tier not equal to summoner rank. Your summoner rank, F through S, determines your capacity, how much spirit essence you can channel, how long you can maintain manifestation, how many attributes you can use simultaneously. This is fixed. You cannot raise your rank, ever. Several students shifted uncomfortably. Faces darkened, especially among the E and D ranks. Your spirit's tier, mortal through sovereign in the orthodox classification, determines their inherent power and potential. This is also fixed. A mortal tier spirit will never become a legend tier spirit. He let that sink in before continuing. What can grow is fortitude and attributes. Fortitude measures your spirit's consciousness, autonomy, and sense of self. It ranges from 1 to 10. The stronger your bond, the higher their fortitude, the more they can teach you and fight alongside you rather than as your puppet. Marcus raised his hand. What's the highest recorded fortitude? 6.8, the instructor said immediately. Achieved by Grand Marshal Van Eem the Unbreakable, bonded with the heroic spirit titan of the Last Stand. It took him 40 years of constant combat and near-death experiences to reach it. 40 years for 6.8, my Tyrant Empress was at 8.2 from the start. I kept my expression blank. Attributes are skills and traits you inherit from your spirit's legend, the instructor continued. A blacksmith spirit grants crafting abilities, a warrior grants combat techniques. These can improve through training and usage. However, when you reach the level cap for the tier, you have to evolve them using spirit cores and whatever else you need. You'll know when that moment comes. Basic, advanced, expert, legendary, and mythic are the attribute tiers that exist, and your attributes can even branch into specialized versions as they evolve. He turned to face us fully. Your spirit tier gives you potential, your summoner rank gives you capacity, but your fortitude and attribute mastery, those determine whether you live or die. The lecture continued: combat classes, manifestation mechanics, essence management. I half listened, filing away useful information while my mind wandered. 8.2 Fortitude, Calamity-tier, multiple spirits waiting to be summoned. I had world-ending power locked inside me, and all anyone saw was the F-rank failure in the back corner. Perfect. One more thing, the instructor said as the lecture wound down. Tomorrow, we begin practical assessments. You'll demonstrate your spirits, your attributes, and your basic combat capabilities. This will determine your class placement, your training regimen, and your access to academy resources. His eyes finally found me, and something unreadable flickered across his face. Everyone participates, no exceptions. Great. The class ended. Students filed out in clusters, already forming their social hierarchies. S rank with A ranks, B ranks networking with C ranks, the D and E ranks clustering together for safety in numbers. And me, alone in the back corner, watching it all like a documentary on human nature. Author's note: sorry about the info dump, was necessary for a smooth continuation. Please add to your library if you enjoy the book and vote Power Stones, Golden Tickets, Golden Castles, Golden Gachapon. I love gold. Chapter 12. Fuck my classmates. Cade Marlowe. I looked up. A girl stood at the end of my row, not one of the popular ones. Brown hair, her gaze darting nervously around the room, her slumped shoulders and solitary presence marked her as a D rank. Yes. I'm Mia Thompson. I just wanted to say that the rumors are stupid. You only attacked those knights because they came at you first. I'd do the same thing if I was in your shoes. But you're not. The words left my mouth before I could catch them. A subtle crease settled between her brows. Pardon. I stood and waved it off. Nothing, thanks, by the way. I gathered my belongings, which amounted to nothing, and headed for the door. I wasn't sure how this academy worked, so I needed to find someone in charge, make inquiries, especially about the dormitories. They had to have those here. As I stepped out, someone standing by the veranda hallway turned. He'd been gazing down at the broad center field below, but now his long brown hair whipped around as he locked eyes with me and smirked. Ah, him. Derek pocketed his hands and closed the distance, his tall, lithe frame casting a shadow that nearly made me stagger backward. My throat tightened. Derek. Hey, Cade, he raised his chin, eyes cutting down at me. Heard you've been living in poop. Three guys flanking him burst into laughter. My expression didn't change. Honestly, I hadn't expected much from him, the class bully of all people, but decency? I'd thought that was part of being human. We were all alone in this mess together, even if my situation was worse. I'd felt a sense of kinship toward these people. And he just mocked my situation. His brows knitted together, voice sharpening. Huh, what's that glare? You want to smack me? He glared back like a street thug trying to intimidate some kid with a hard face. Truth was, his expression did dominate. Derek's tall frame and angular features made intimidation effortless. His long brown hair only amplified it, especially when he tied it back. He looked every bit the competent bully. This was not a Jerry situation. Peace, pointless violence makes no sense. My classmates aren't my enemies. I forced myself to exhale, smoothing my expression. Then I smiled. Nothing, Derek, like you said, I'm living in poop. My smile twisted into a crooked grin and I aimed it right at him. You know, you'd like it better there, Derek. That place was specially crafted for people like you. And there's this guy named Jerry. Oh my God, I think you two will get along great. That's right, I can be a very petty person. What? Derek's face contorted with rage. He grabbed my clothes and struck immediately, a headbutt that sent me staggering back. A wide grin spread across his face as he advanced with his goons. Looks like the reality of your situation hasn't dawned on you yet. I'm going to beat you to a pulp and open your eyes to how weak you are. I wiped blood from my nose and offered a correction. You mean beat me to a pulp so you can prove to yourself that you're strong? Come on, Derek, get a grip. This is a little cliched. His face had already twisted, but he still managed an unbelieving grin. He stepped closer, eyes glinting like shattered glass. Let me shatter whatever illusion you're high on. Something slammed into my guts. I hadn't seen it move. All I knew was that his fist connected with my stomach and my entire world shattered. I had never felt pain like that in my life. It felt like he'd ripped straight through to my back. His blow lifted my feet off the ground and hurled me backward with brutal force. I crashed into the terrace railing and plummeted straight down from the third floor. Everything happened so fast. 1 second I was punched, the next I was slamming into hard ground and my vision went blank. My eyes snapped open. A deep, guttural groan tore from my throat as I rolled over, writhing as pain exploded through every nerve. The next moment, though, rage took over. Fuck my classmates, fuck the kingdom, fuck everybody. Tyrant Empress. Red sparks crackled. The demoness manifested before me, her figure sculpted into a perfect hourglass, her featureless helmet with curved horns radiating corrupted menace. Kill that bastard. My classmates and other students had gathered around to watch. I didn't care. I was consumed by rage and needed satisfaction. For now, Derek would do, he could blame it on rotten luck. Tyrant Empress shot forward. Each movement made her ass sway with fluid grace. Without gathering momentum, she leaped into the sky and landed easily on the third floor, but a massive arm clad in golden and blue armor struck her mid-landing, sending her skidding backward along the balcony, sparks screaming off her obsidian boots as they scraped the floor. Tyrant Empress straightened from her slouched stance, legs spreading slightly. Her impressive figure outlined itself, the curves of her breasts trembling beneath the terrorizing helm that made her no less demonic. 6'8" of pure sculpted muscle stalked toward her. Derek's heroic spirit looked like a Greek statue come to life, broad shoulders, powerful arms, chiseled core. He was built like someone who'd been fighting since childhood. His ornate gold and blue armor covered his body like a second skin. He had no cloak, no weapon in his hands. Blue light radiated from his sharp, V-shaped visor, his presence crushed like a titan's. Tyrant Empress glanced at her arm where the fist had struck, then looked forward. A red glow flared from the depths of her featureless helm, releasing a trace of crimson light that streamed the moment she moved. Her thick legs went rigid. She closed the gap in one explosive burst and Derek's summon flinched. Her fist drove toward his groin, but he guarded quickly. The blow never landed. Instead, with an impossible twirl, Tyrant Empress's long, powerful leg fell on him from above like a guillotine, crushing him to the ground with overwhelming force. Chapter 13: The Vixen Nurse. A massive gale of wind exploded outward as Cassandra's leg came crashing down on Derek's brute of a bodybuilder summon, driving him to his knees. The ground split beneath them and both plunged through to the floor below. Screams erupted, everyone scrambled for cover. In less than a minute of summoning our spirits, the entire arena had devolved into chaos. "Guys, what are you doing, Emperor Rex?" A golden shimmer burst to life around Kai as he finally caught up to the scene. Two other students shouted over the noise. "Silent Guardian. Azula." From above, a golden-armored knight, his crimson cape snapping like fire, dropped into the fray. A second followed, silver and sleek with gold filigree moving like lightning. Then the air darkened, crackling with energy as a third spirit, a feminine warrior clad in violet-edged armor, joined the others. The three landed between Cassandra and Derek's summon, steel gleaming under fractured light. I was on one knee, teeth gritted, watching the chaos close in. With 5 spirits manifesting at once, the compound felt suffocating. Kai sprinted toward me, his face tight with worry. "Cade, we talked about this morning." I tilted my head, managing a faint, crooked smile. "I'll be going first." My vision flickered. I tried to resist, to gather essence. Damn it, need to raise essence. But the thought slipped away, and so did I. HHNNG, ah fuck. The sound dragged me out of unconsciousness. My eyes fluttered open, white light spilled from the ceiling above, soft, sterile. I jerked upright, half expecting to find a guillotine over my neck. Instead, I was in a clinic. Ah yes, fuck yes, MMM. The voice made my heart skip, not the sound itself, the tone. After 3 years on a laptop, I knew that rhythm anywhere. I glanced around. The bed beside mine was empty. "It's coming from over there." Moving quietly, I slipped off my sheets and crept toward the next curtained space. I tugged it aside and froze. A woman with lustrous amber hair leaned back on the bed, one hand gripping her breast, pinching her nipple until it blushed, the other buried deep between her thighs. Her hips trembled with every thrust of her fingers as soft, broken moans escaped her lips. The wet slap of flesh filled the silence. Her pale blue shirt hung open beneath a white coat, her breasts spilling free, full and flushed. A pink lace panty clung to one thigh, pushed aside by her own shaking hand. The nurse. My pulse thudded. She was supposed to be treating me, yet there she was, lost in herself. In God's help me, I couldn't look away. This is my chance. It hit me, this could be my chance to finally lose my virginity. Opportunities like this didn't just fall from the heavens. They were miracles, like waking up one day to find a horny stepsister who couldn't get satisfaction anywhere else, and somehow your conveniently placed dick was the divine solution. This was it, the legendary manhwa plot convenience. Tears nearly welled up. After all my suffering, the gods were finally letting me witness glory. Now just don't blow this. I braced myself to quietly part the curtain, but the moment I moved, nerves seized me. My foot caught on the bedsheet and I toppled forward straight out of hiding. The nurse gasped as I crashed beside her. My head landed squarely on her breasts, face sinking into its softness with her nipples poking my left cheek while my lower body dangled awkwardly off the bed. Mortified but desperate not to ruin the moment, I pressed my palms to the mattress and lifted myself like I was doing push-ups. She froze, arms over her chest, thighs clamped together, wide brown eyes locked on me in shock. As I rose, her gaze drifted downward, and her expression shifted from confusion to stunned disbelief. "What in the world did you put a rod in there?" I followed her gaze, my eyes suddenly widened too. I wasn't selling it short when I bragged about being big before, but this, even I was impressed. "I swear it's all natural," I blurted, awkwardly thrusting my hips back to hide the erection. Still staring, she raised one trembling hand, measuring the air like she was checking a weapon's length. "Oh, bless the gods, it's even longer than my arm." Her shock melted into something sharper. A fox's smile curved her lips as she looked down at my trousers. "Maybe if it's you," she murmured, biting a finger, "it might actually work." "Work?" My mind stumbled. What the hell does that mean? "Nurse, I..." Before I could finish, she lunged. Her fingers hooked my collar, slamming me lightly against the wall. Today, apparently, everyone had decided grabbing my shirt was a national sport, but this time I wasn't complaining. Her breasts pressed against my chest, her breath hot against my skin. One of her legs slid forward, teasing between mine as her eyes burned with something sinful. "Otherworlder," she whispered, voice dripping heat, "do you know about Nirvana?" Zoom. Her grin deepened and her tongue traced a slow line along my neck. "I'm going to fuck you until I reach it," she purred. "Don't worry, since you're injured, I'll do all the work." Author's note: if you're liking it so far, I'm gonna need those power stones and golden tickets, guys. Vote for me and add to your library. Chapter 14: Subjugating a Mature Lady. My lungs tightened and my throat went dry. At this point, it was getting difficult to dominate any semblance of control over my body, my heart pounding fast and loud, my breath steamy and shaky, even my hardening cock. The more she pressed her thighs against it, the harder it grew. Her smile was ravenous. She looked hungry, but not in any conventional sense. Her eyes were narrowed, her cheeks flushed red with desire. She withdrew her face for a beat, smiling like a goddess of pleasure and desire. "Otherworlder," she purred, "what's your name?" I swallowed before answering. "Cade," I said, "Cade Marlowe." The edge of her smile turned dangerous as she moved her hand. "Okay, Cade." She took my hand and guided it to her waist, sliding it down until it rested at the top of her ass. Tilting her head, she whispered, "Have you ever touched a woman like this before, Cade?" I gulped, my throat went sand dry, my lips trembling, even my cheeks twitching. I'd never been in a situation like this, never even held a woman's breasts in my hands. And where my palm rested now, it threatened to tremble. That's when I realized the truth about every gooner like me. All talk, no action. But tonight, that would change. Tonight, I'd break that nature, I'd ascend into a different world, the world of a predator. Looking back, I still can't tell if it was a good decision, or if anything would have changed had I not done it. Had I not hardened my heart and suddenly gripped a generous handful of her ass such that it almost spilled in between my fingers. She gasped, eyes wide, my nervous face twisting into a shaky grin. Her smile froze mid-curve. I met her gaze. "Truth be told," I murmured, "I've never done this before." I slid my second hand beneath her skirt, which was already slipping down. "But I've dreamt of this day all my life." I lifted her, almost buckled under her weight, but managed to throw her onto the bed. She yelped, curling up like a startled fox, still reeling from my sudden boldness. "Don't tell me you're backing out now," I said, stepping closer. "Not when I'm finally matching your energy." She was quiet for a moment, eyes unreadable. Then a slow, honeyed smile curved her lips. "No, fool," she breathed. "You're so hot right now I can feel myself leaking." She grabbed my hand, slid it between her thighs, and I felt it, slick, warm, and slightly slimy against her skin. "You feel that?" she whispered, locking eyes with me. "That's because of you." My heart thundered. This wasn't the effect of Summoner's touch amplifying her desire, it was me, my confidence, my control. Maybe the rumors were right, women really did love confidence. And since it was working, why stop? I didn't pull away, my hand trailed higher, gliding up her inner thigh. She shifted beneath my touch, closing her eyes for a heartbeat, shoulders trembling as each slow stroke drew a gasp from her. Then her eyes opened again, half-lidded, fixed on me. Something in them had changed. They looked the same, yet completely different. That gaze alone made my erection pulse with sharp, feral heat. "If you keep looking at me like that," I warned softly, "I might not go easy on you." Then my fingers brushed the edge of her clit, she whimpered. "Oh yeah." Her eyes locked on mine again, defiant, daring me to push further, to claim her completely. I shifted her up the bed and climbed over her like a predator, our eyes locked as I knelt between her legs. Something in that gaze deepened, heat, hunger, something primal, and before I could react, she lunged up, grabbed my collar and crashed her lips against mine. Our mouths met in a violent melt of pleasure, each pulse of contact sending lightning through every nerve in my body, all of it centering on one place, my mountain. As our tongues tangled, wet and hungry, I slid a hand over her breast and began to knead, savoring the weight and warmth in my palm. "Gentle now, Cade," she breathed against my lips. "A woman my age doesn't like to be handled roughly." That was when it hit me, she was older. Jackpot. I kissed down her neck, tasting her skin, sucking softly as I went lower. My fingers moved with care, rolling over her curves, squeezing just enough to feel the give of her flesh. Her breasts were so soft they almost spilled through my fingers, like warm water in motion. The artistry of her body defied anything words could carry. All I knew was that my cock hardened with new resolve. I kissed my way to her chest, mouthing at her tits, teasing her until I reached her nipples. Yes, there, suck it," she moaned, breath fastening in an alluring manner. Her voice cracked under pleasure as she gripped my jet-black hair. I obeyed her with slow, deliberate sucks, circling her nipples with my tongue, savoring the tremors in her breath. "Cade, touch me there, fuck, touch me." I wanted to obey, but some darker instinct told me to make her beg. My hands slid between her thighs, stopping just short of where she wanted them. Instead of plunging in, I slapped lightly against her clit, rubbed, gripped, and teased the edges until she gasped. She moaned, hips twitching, fingers tightening in my hair as if trying to anchor herself. "What are you doing?" she managed to laugh breathlessly. "I said use your fingers." I met her gaze, grinning wickedly. "Yeah, you asked me to, you didn't beg me to." Her whole body shuddered. The confident, mature woman from moments ago vanished. What remained was something softer, flushed, trembling, a beautiful mess of need. My chest thudded with pride as something inside me shifted. Emperor's presence has been subconsciously activated. All beings within 100 meters will be intimidated by your presence, especially your spirit summon. Oh. She bit her lip, trying to look away. "Please put it in." I grinned wider, ignoring the floating message but feeling its truth ripple through the air. "You'll have to do better than that if you want me to fuck you." Her lips quivered, her breath shallow. My hand kept circling, sliding across the slick heat between her thighs. "Please, Cade," she whimpered. "Please fuck me, put your manhood in me, please." A surge of dark satisfaction rushed through me. Now for the main dish. Chapter 15, Dual Cultivation. I locked eyes with her, our breaths mingling, steam meeting steam, the air between us grinding like friction made tangible. I unzipped my trousers and pulled it out, shameless, letting the old boy spring free like a coiled rod snapping to life. I'd measured myself before, 7 inches exactly. Enough to hit every hidden spot the body could offer, GF, maybe even that mythical S spot if such a thing existed. But what I was looking at now was different. My cock looked longer, thicker, easily 3 inches more than usual. Her gaze was glued to it, ravenous and spellbound. She licked her lips as I shifted her legs higher. I tried to slide the tip in, or at least thought I did. It's usually around here in the movies. My fumbling earned me a short, melodic chuckle. "All that talk about making me beg, and you don't even know where to put it." I swallowed hard, shame burning through me. "Here, let me help." Her fingers wrapped around me, cool at first, sending a rush of electric pleasure through my nerves. I nearly gasped but held it in. She guided me with that soft, teasing touch until I felt warmth, a slick, welcoming heat that pulled me in. Instinct took over, I pushed deeper, the tightness around me blooming into a molten embrace. She gasped, her head snapping back as her hands gripped my shirt. Fuck gently, otherworlder, I want nirvana, not death. But I couldn't stop, the heat swallowed me whole, her body pulsed around my length, every inch of me alive with sensation. Ah damn G gent. I tuned her out, lost in rhythm. I began to move, hips grinding, body pressing forward, each thrust drawing a different sound from her throat. Her moans came in waves, breaking with every stroke. I found a pace that felt divine and cupped her breast, rolling her nipples between my fingers as I moved faster. She moaned, biting her lower lip, eyes wet, brows furrowed like she was fighting the pleasure overtaking her. "What's this nirvana you're talking about?" I asked between breaths, still thrusting into her. "Back home, it's not supposed to be reached this way." She gasped through her words. And yes there, fuck, I'll tell you when we're done, just keep hitting it there." Her voice was breaking, thoughts melting into moans. "I guess it's hard for her to talk right now, let's finish this properly." Summoner's touch might not work on her, she wasn't my summon, but my other two traits clearly did. The tireless stamina and a dick size tailored to meet her special needs, the body molded for pleasure, it all came alive now. I picked up the pace, fucking her hard, making sure every thrust landed deep against that sweet spot inside her. Her cries grew louder, rougher. Her face twisted beautifully in ecstasy as she clung to me, pulling me closer. Her legs locked around my waist, drawing me in until our skin met, slick with sweat and heat. Her nails dug into my back, her lips crushed mine. I could feel her trembling, her tongue against mine as her moans turned guttural, broken. "Fuck fuck yes yes, oh heavens, this feels different, this is it." Her whole body convulsed in my arms. I held her tight, thrusting faster, harder as my instinct screamed not to stop. Her legs straightened, toes curling, every muscle tensing as pleasure tore through her. At that point, something began stirring inside me, a thrumming charge like electricity pounding against the base of my cock with every thrust. The sensation only grew stronger. Her slick, molten heat seemed to massage pure pleasure out of me, coaxing it from my body in waves. As a man well-versed in the art of self-release, I knew that feeling. It was time to pull out. But before I could, her trembling legs shot up and locked tight around my waist, refusing to let go. One last thrust, and a sudden jolt ripped through me. A blinding surge of electricity flooded my veins, my body shuddering in sync with hers as though our pulses had merged. System notice, yin and yang spirit energy has perfectly harmonized. Threshold surpassed, the river of essence from the spirit realm has opened. Your spirit essence has increased beyond limits. 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 Attribute proficiency has increased. Attribute perfect fit has increased to level 2. Attribute proficiency has increased. Attribute infinite vitality has increased to level 2. Both of us collapsed against each other, panting. My face rested on her soft, pointed breasts, the mid-sized curves rising and falling as her heart hammered beneath my cheek. She stared up at the ceiling, eyes wide and unfocused, murmuring, "I did it, I did it, I did it." Each repetition grew louder, more breathless, as if she were only just realizing what she'd accomplished. I rolled off her, catching my breath, and the weight of it all hit me. I just slept with a nurse I knew absolutely nothing about. Not her name, not her age, not even if she was a weapon sent against me. If she decided to twist this to claim I'd forced her, the kingdom would have my head. Fucked literally and figuratively. Still, something in me doubted she'd do that. I hurried to pull my clothes back on. She did the same, though her gaze lingered on me as I stood. The silence between us thickened, the kind that hums with too much memory. She looked flustered, half embarrassed, half intrigued, her eyes darting down. Why does it feel like she's looking at my... I glanced down, my mountain hadn't calmed, not even close. When I looked back up, her expression had changed, something darker glimmering behind that mature, sultry calm. "If you want," she murmured, voice low and honeyed, "I can use my mouth and we can go again. One can never get tired of reaching nirvana."